Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and to a brand new video. Today I'm here to talk to you about my anticipated releases for 2024. Now I've had to cut this list down severely because I have so many books that I'm interested in 2024. There were many on the list, but I've managed to cut this down to 18 and I've primarily focused it on the first half of the year because like last year I'll probably do a 6-month halfway through the year video where I do the second half of the year anticipated releases. Words are not wording for me today. We will start with January and we'll move on. I think August is the last one I have, but yeah. I tried so hard to minimize this to my absolute faves, or the ones that I felt like you needed to know about the most. So let's start with number 1, which is on the 9th of January, Mislaid in Parts Half Known by Shauna Maguire. This is the 9th book in the Wayward Children series, which if you have not read the Wayward Children series, it's kind of like fairy tale novellas, but they're dark and adult, but they follow children and teenagers, but they're not children's books. Like I feel like that's very important to note. They are dark and sometimes a little graphic. This one in particular follows Antsy, who is the newest arrival to the Wayward Children. Eleanor West's Wayward's... I can't remember the school name, but that place. She's the newest arrival, and it seems from the synopsis that we're going back to the shop where lost things go from the last book that we had in this series. At this point, I've stopped checking the synopses of these books. I just know I'm going to read it because I absolutely love this series. Some of the books have been a little bit of a miss for me, and some of them are wild big hits that I absolutely love. So I'm intrigued to see where this one falls, but why aren't we getting Cade's story? On the 18th of January, we have Fae Bound by Sarah L. Arifi. This is the first book in her new adult fantasy series. So I read The Final Strife, which is the first book in her YA duology. I have not continued into the second, but I absolutely loved that book. I gave it 4 stars. I thought it was amazing. And so I'm really intrigued to see her writing in an adult setting. We follow sisters Erin and Letty, who kind of get banished from wherever they live, and they end up stumbling across the Fae realm, which they thought was long gone. And I think it's them just navigating, finding out that Fae still exist. I don't know any more than that. The synopsis doesn't seem to give it any more than that. I am so intrigued for this one. I just think that based on what I've read from The Final Strife, which was a very different story, I think we could get a lot from this book. I think Sarah's writing is top notch and I'm so intrigued to see it in an adult book. I just think it's going to be so good. I have so many high hopes. I hope they don't come crashing down on me, but my fingers are crossed. I'm really intrigued by this one. I'm sure everyone knows about this next one. The 30th of January, we are getting the next Crescent City book. And that is obviously House of Flame and Shadow by Sarah J. Maas. My favourite book ever. Right now I'm reading House of Earth and Blood for the 3rd time, and I can definitely say it stands up as my favourite book. If you have not read it, it is a adult urban fantasy murder mystery series, but then it kind of just becomes so much more than that. I didn't love the second book. I gave it 4 stars, but I think looking back at it, I dislike it more in my head than I actually did because I'm convinced it was awful because of how disappointed I was. But I think on a reread I'll remember I actually liked it a lot more than I did, if that makes sense. So I'm trying to reread those books before the end of the month so I can go in to House of Flame and Shadow fresh, knowing exactly what happened, because the end of book 2, wild. And I don't know if I like it or not. I don't know if I like that ending. It completely depends on how this 3rd book goes. All I know is I'm so intrigued. I'm so excited. I cannot wait to get my grubby little paws on this book. You will not see me. I will be reading it straight away. You will not see me. I think this is the final book in the series. I mean, she was only contracted to do 3 books, but people are convinced there's going to be a 4th. But I think this is meant to be the final book. I'm convinced this is the final book. In which case, I'm both excited and heartbroken. At the end of this series, like, Bryce Quinlan, the main character in this book, is phenomenal. Her love interest, Hunt Athalar, is my everything. You can see his little Funko Pop there in my Crescent City shrine. This book just has, or this series I should say, has a special place in my heart. I'm just not ready for it to end. I'm not ready for it to end. It doesn't matter how many times I can reread this book, I'm not ready for it to end. And I might not come back after January 30th. I might stay in a little hole of depression depending on how this ends. Moving on to February, where we have 4 releases that I want to talk about. The first one is Blood Flowers by Jay McGuinness. I don't know the synopsis for this one. I know it's a YA dystopian romantasy, and we follow a protagonist named Bear. I know it's inspired by the Hunger Games, and there were some other things mentioned that I can't remember. I don't know, but I know I was a massive fan of The Wanted growing up, and apparently that is reason enough to read a book. I don't know if this was ghostwritten or not. I should probably do some research into that, because that instantly turns me off a book. It's the reason I didn't read the Millie Bobby Brown book. If this is written by him and not a ghostwriter, I'm really excited to read it. I don't know how it's going to go. I think it's going to be on the younger side of YA. Not that I have any reason to think that, I just think it is. In which case, I'll be disappointed. It probably won't be for me. But for now, I do have a pre-order coming for this, so I can read it and see what I think. Fingers crossed it's a success for me, but we'll see. On the 6th of February, we have Bride by Ali Hazelwood. This is her first romance coming out, I think, that has not been about STEM. She did have Check and Mate, so her first adult romance that was not about STEM. And I'm so excited. I absolutely loved The Love Hypothesis. And then I thought her next book was okay. And then I was like, why am I reading the same book with different names in it? So I stopped reading them. I think I DNF Love Theoretically, something like 9% in. Like, it was just not good. So, am I concerned? Yes. However, this book is about a werewolf and a vampire. It doesn't matter who writes this book, I would be reading it. I would be super excited about it. So the fact that I know Ali Hazelwood can write really, really well and can make a book that I love many times over and over again until it's recycled, I am really intrigued by this one. I hope to God that this is good. The cover is stunning, beautiful, incredible, amazing. What more is to be said? If this is a letdown, you won't hear from me. Again, in February, we have one of the most exciting releases of all time, and that is Magnolia Park's Into the Dark by Jessa Hastings. This is the 5th book in the Magnolia Park series, but it's the 3rd book and final book following Magnolia Parks and BJ. I know that doesn't make a lot of sense if you have not read the series. So this series kind of includes one book about Magnolia Parks and then a second book by Daisy Hates, but the Daisy Hates books take place in the same time as the Magnolia Parks books and follow the same events. You're just seeing it from a different couple. It's really weird. It sounds like it would be repetitive and boring. It's not. So this book is the last Magnolia Parks book, and then we'll get another one following these events about another couple. It even sounds complex to me, and I know what I'm talking about. I just want to say, I have been a lover of these covers. I have been a lover of these OG covers for so long. This is a shambles. And I think I might be the only person thinking it, because everybody else seems to love it. This looks like a child got a hold of paint. I said what I said. Okay, moving on before someone shouts at me. I love Magnolia. I hate BJ. And I am just so concerned at the fact that they're going to end up together at the end of the series. And I think I'm the only one again on planet Earth that does not want them together. But I don't. I ship someone else who's long gone and I want them back. But I am excited to finish up this portion of the series and then get Daisy Hates' book to redo that event. It is confusing, but I am excited about this book and I'm excited to read more about the Magnolia Parks universe. I'm a big fan. I don't think this is for everyone. If you don't know what the Magnolia Park series is about, it's a toxic romance following rich people in London. As well, on the 13th of February, we're getting Calm Until by Lauren Carter, which is a short story horror anthology. Obviously, I don't know what's in here because it's an anthology. It's going to be lots of things. But I'm really excited by this because Lauren writes very, very creepily. Gives me nightmares, kind of creepy. So I know that this is going to be good. I'm super nervous of how scared I'm going to be, but the thought of a short story collection sounds really, really fun, and I cannot wait. Moving into March, we have two that both release on the 5th. The first is The Prisoner's Throne by Holly Black. This is the sequel to The Stolen Heir, and I think the final book, I think it's just a duology, but this is a spin-off following the events of the Crow Prince series, where we follow Oak and Sureen, I think is how you say her name. I did not love the first book, I'll admit. Like, I am a huge fan of the Crow Prince series. Again, it's one of my favourite series out there. It's incredible. I don't really think that this book follows Oak. Like, it was really hyped up in the first book, I mean, was really hyped up, like, oh, it follows Oak. It doesn't. It follows Sureen, who is a random character we've never met before, and involves Oak as a love interest. That's not what I was wanting. That's not what I was wanting. I did not like that first book. However, it's part of the Crow Prince world. I will read the sequel, and I hope that now that I'm not going in with like wrong expectations, I'm hoping that this will be better as a result, because I'll know what to expect going in. Less Oak. I'm also assuming I'm going to get a little bit more romance in this one. I'm trying to remember if there even was any romance in that first book. I'm sure there must have been. Or am I just making it up in my head? I can't remember. The more I think about it, the more I realise I don't remember anything about this book. Maybe I need to read The Stolen Heir before The Prisoner's Throne comes out. So I will do that. I will try and reread it in February, because my goal for the year is to reread more, because I never do. So I will reread that book and find out. But I'm excited to wrap up another duology, if this is a duology. And as I said, there were two coming out on the 5th. The other one is Bloodguard by Cece Robson, or Cece Robson. This is a new adult fantasy romance series that's coming out, and I am so excited. It sounds really interesting and unique. Basically, it's kind of like the Hunger Games, where there's 100 gladiators and only one of them can win, so they all have to fight each other. And we actually follow a male protagonist called Leith, which is very unusual. Like, I feel like there's not a lot of fantasies with male protagonists in them, or romantasies with male protagonists in them. I don't know who the romance is with, but it does say fantasy romance, so I'm excited. I actually have a pre-order in for this one, so I am very much intrigued to pick this up. I think this just sounds unique compared to other fantasy series I've read recently, and for that reason, like, it's standing out for me. Moving into April, and on the 2nd, there are 3 books that are releasing. There's a lot more than that, but there are 3 books releasing that I want to talk to you about. There's even more coming out than that on that day, so it's going to be a busy day for us book lovers. The first one is The Reappearance of Rachel Price by Holly Jackson. Holly Jackson wrote the A Good Girl's Guide to Murder series, which, phenomenal series, incredible series. However, 5 Survive, spoiler alert for my worst books of the year video, I absolutely hated that book. So this could go either way. Belle's mum disappears when she is a child, and she's kind of grown up without this mum. She's gotten used to it, but then suddenly a documentary crew come to film the story and bring to light some questions to Belle that she hasn't thought of before. And then suddenly Belle's mum reappears out of nowhere with a story of what happened to her, but Belle doesn't really believe it. And it brings about questions that Belle wants to have answered. It sounds fun. It sounds not light-hearted, but it sounds a little bit more light-hearted than A Good Girl's Guide to Murder got further through the series. And also 5 Survive, which was quite dark when you think about it. On the same day again, we have A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping by Sangu Mandana. This follows Sarah and Luke as they run a magical inn. Well, Sarah runs a magical inn and meets Luke. It's a romance, it's a mystery, it's cozy. I literally just the other day read The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches and really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. I thought it was really fun and cute. This sounds just as fun and just as cute, and the cover looks pretty much the same. It's so cute looking. I think it's going to be amazing. I feel like Sangu's writing was just so natural and fluid and easy to consume. that I think this book will be the exact same. Easy to consume, light-hearted, fluffy, cozy, all the things I'm looking for. So I wish that was coming out more now than it is in April, because in the spring that's not really my mood. Winter, January time is when I thrive with my cozy fantasies. So I wish it was coming out now, but I'll take when I can get it. April 2nd, I will be pre-ordering this right now. And again, same day, we have Just for Summer by Abby Jimenez. Justin reveals some story that's really embarrassing on Reddit or something like that, and then him and Emma agree to not fake date, they really date for the summer, and then they agree to like break it off at the end of the summer in an attempt to break the curse that is following them both. All I know is I've only read one Abby Jimenez, despite the fact I think she has 5 books, but Part of Your World, which is the book I've read, was probably my favourite fluffy romance of all time, and so I've been nervous to pick up any more from this author, to be honest. I've been really nervous. What if it doesn't live up to Part of Your World? Because I have really high hopes now. It does sound really fun. The cover looks really summery and sweet. On the 9th of April, we have Ghost Station by S.A. Barnes. This is the author who wrote Dead Silence many years ago now. I read last year and I really enjoyed. I think I gave it a 3.5. I think it was quite fun, and it was ghosts, which I love. I love a haunted story. This one is a sci-fi horror where we follow a crew led by Dr. Ophelia as they search an abandoned planet, and then next thing you know, their pilot is murdered, and so Dr. Ophelia and the crew have to come together to try and uncover what has happened and who has murdered the pilot, but everybody is keeping secrets of their own. I'm not really one for sci-fi, and I think there was quite a lot of sci-fi in Dead Silence, but I think the ghosts kept me engaged and kept me wanting to read more. The sound of an abandoned planet is very intriguing to me. I want to know where they're going, what's there, what it's like. Is it aliens if it's not ghosts? What's going on? I need to know. On the 23rd, we have Funny Story by Emily Henry. I have not picked up Emily Henry's last release, Happy Place, so I would like to pick up that first before I pick up this. But I am still really intrigued by this release because I have enjoyed Emily Henry's books in the past. This one sounds very convoluted. We follow Daphne, who has a fiancé called Pete, who is absolutely in love with her and tells everybody this magical story of how they met, until one day he realises he's in love with his childhood best friend. And then he leaves. Then she meets Miles and they end up falling in love, but Miles is Daphne's ex-fiancé Pete's new fiancé, ex-fiancé. So basically, Miles is the childhood best friend's ex, who is now dating Pete, Daphne's ex. It's like a little love square. That's complicated in my head. That's really complicated in my head. So that's like, to me, I don't really see a problem with it, but I'm sure they'll be like, oh, we can't do this. We can't do this. Oh no. This is very reminiscent to me of one of those Colleen Hoover books. Which one was that? Is it All Your Perfects? Where at the beginning they catch their partners cheating and then they end up dating and getting married. I don't know whether it's gonna be deep, because I feel everyone's saying that Happy Place was very dark and sad. Still a romance, but a lot of people were saying like Happy Place is a misleading title because it's not happy. What if Funny Story is not a funny story after all? What if it's a sad story? I don't want to read a sad story. So I think I'm going to wait for reviews to come in on whether this is a sad story or not, and decide from there whether I want to read it, because that sounds stressful. Apparently I have nothing I want to talk about in May, so we'll skip ahead to June. June 25th we have Business Casual by B.K. Borison. This is the 4th book in the Love Light series, and I believe the final book. Every book in the Love Light series has followed a season, so I think this will be autumn. And we follow Nova and Charlie, who have a one-night stand and then keep seeing each other because it's a small town. Of course you're going to keep seeing each other. And then I assume they fall in love. Would that be a bold reach of me? I don't think so. I have only read book 1 in this series so far, Love Light Farms, and I liked it a lot. I gave it 3.5 because there were some unfinished storylines and unanswered questions that were really abrupt and weird. Maybe when I continue the series they'll answer these questions for me, but that seems a little weird when it follows a different character couple situation. But yeah, I'm reading them 1 book per season, so I'll get to this in autumn. Although if it's an autumn book, why is it being released in June? Maybe they're not released in seasonal order. That would be really annoying. July 23rd, we have The Last One by Rachel Housel Hall. I don't know much about this, despite the fact I do have it pre-ordered, but it is a new fantasy series, and we follow a woman who wakes up with no memories, and there are people claiming to be her friends from before she lost her memories, and then there are other people who've stolen something from her, and she seems to be danger to the earth. It was a very confusing synopsis to read. It is a very confusing synopsis to have to reiterate. I don't know what's going on. I think it's an adult fantasy, which we need more of, in my humble opinion. On the 30th of July comes The Grandest Game by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is the 5th book in the Inheritance Games series, originally a trilogy. I don't know what this one's following because I still have not read The Brothers Hawthorne. I picked it up just the other day, so I have it now ready to read. So I will have read it by the time this book comes out, so I can dive straight in. I think we had the original trilogy, and then I think these books are spin-off mysteries revolving around other things, I think. So I can't really give you any insight into what this book is going to be about, what it follows, who it follows, because I don't know, because I'm too scared to read it in case it spoils The Brothers Hawthorne for me. But my opinions on the books so far is the trilogy was enough. I think the trilogy should have been a duology. So I don't know why we're pulling it out anymore, but maybe I will disagree with my words when I've read The Brothers Hawthorne and I get a sense of what they're meant to be, and then maybe I'll like The Grandest Game more. Who knows? Who knows? We will see. And the final book I have for you on this list for this year so far is The Bluebell by Laurie Gilmore, which releases on August 29th. This is the 2nd book in the something series. I don't know what the series is called. It's the sequel to The Pumpkin Spice Cafe, which I liked. I thought it was really, really entertaining. It wasn't the best written piece of literature I've ever read, but it was a fun time and it was a cozy time. It is a romance series set in Dream Harbor, which is a small town very much inspired by Stars Hollow. The whole book, including the author, is clearly very inspired by Gilmore Girls, and that's why I picked it up originally. And I am intrigued to carry on with this series. And this book specifically follows Noah and Hazel, who we saw a little bit of in the first book, and we got a sense of their dynamic, so I am really intrigued to read more from them and carry on this lovely series, which has the most beautiful covers I've ever seen. So those are all the books that I wanted to talk to you today. My upcoming anticipated releases for 2024. I'm so excited for these to release and to see what I think of them. But as I said, there will be another one of these in 6 months' time for the second half of the year, where I'll talk to you more about the upcoming books that are coming out then. Let me know what your most anticipated release for this year is down below so I can check it out as well. And I shall see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.